Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Bree from With Love Bree, and today I'm gonna do a requested video. It is on these really tiny rosettes. This measures ½ an inch, so they're super tiny. The process does take a little bit, is a little bit tedious because of how tiny these folds are, but the end result is really cute, and I have a way where you can make multiples at once. Okay, so for today's tutorial, to make this, you are going to need some kind of scoring tool. And for me, I'm just going to use a small one. I do have my larger one, but I do prefer the larger one, just depending on how many you're going to make. If you're going to just make an individual one, you can use this, and I'll go over the sizes with you. So you'll need that. And then for me, I'm going to do like I'm gonna make like 8, not on camera, but have 8 ready. So for that, I'm gonna have a piece of paper that measures 6 inches by 1 inch high. And depending on how many you want to make at a time, you can even use a thicker piece like 2 inches or whatever, because all you need really, like let's say if you want to only make one, you just need a 3-inch piece by 1/4 inches. So again, that's only if you want to make one. If you want to make one, you just need to cut your scrap piece of paper or whatever paper you're using at 1/4 inch by 3 inches. But again, I'm going to make 8 out of this one sheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this against my scoring tool. The reason why I recommend a larger one is because this one here only goes up to 5.5. This is a We Are Memory Keepers one, but I think the Martha Stewart one that I have at home goes up to 6 inches. But yeah. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your strip of paper, and on the 6-inch side you're going to go ahead and line that up to the top here, and you're going to score at every 1/8 of an inch. If you have this scoring tool, if you have a scoring tool at all, you're going to score basically on every single line here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to bring it in here. So I'm literally going to score at every line. That's in case you're unsure of the 1/8 of an inch, but they show you the 1/4 inch marks. The 1/8 of an inch mark is literally in between those quarters. So I'm just going to keep going until I get to the end. Okay, and so for those of you that are using this exact scoring board, you're gonna just slide it over until all these lines meet up perfectly with the marks, and then just continue your scores. So now you have all these score marks, as you can see. Oops. And then what you're going to do is you're going to accordion fold. So set this aside, we're done with that. Okay, so what you're going to do here, I fold down first, and then I fold up, and you're just going to keep doing that throughout the whole thing until you get to the end. And this is where it kind of gets hard, because they're so tiny. But once you keep doing that, this is what you're going to get. And I already did this pattern paper one. So as you can see, it looks like this. So once you get to this point, if you're making multiples like me, if you make the 1/4 inch by 3-inch piece, you obviously don't need to worry about this step. But what I'm going to do is take out my paper trimmer, and I'm going to cut this at 1/4 inch, or actually I'm going to start at 3 inches. So I'm going to flatten it back out. And if you're wondering why, the reason why we wanted to crease it first is to break in the paper, because if you mold the paper to how it's supposed to be, it'll be a lot easier than working with a 1/4 inch strip trying to fold all those. So What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut this in half first because I know I want this to be 3 inches because that's the perfect size to make these. So I'm gonna stretch it out as best as I can because, because this is gonna be kind of creased. But again, we scored at every line. So the 3-inch mark, there's like a marking already on there. So that's where I'm gonna cut, is where that mark is. That means that that's the half point. You can even use scissors if you just fold this in half and literally cut it. Yeah, I would recommend just folding it in half because it looks like I might have cut mine too short. Oh, oops, but we're not done here. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut these at 1/4 inch strips. Okay, so that is all the cutting there. So this is how they look. And as you can tell, they kind of already have those like folds. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take one, and I like to keep it against my desk here, and I like to just pinch it. And when you pinch it, because it's already molded, it'll take its shape. So when you're pinching it, you're basically going like this. So that's why you kind of want to fold it ahead of time, is so that way it's easier to crease. Because doing it like this separately, it does take a while, because that's what I did at first. Okay. And even if you don't get the cut right, if one is longer than the other, it's still going to be the same result. You're just going to have a couple extra ridges, which is fine. Okay, so I'm recording this after I already did my tutorial, but I wanted to add that if you're mass producing, I suggest that you crinkle all of your pieces up first like this, and then do each step at once. So once you get them all scrunched up like this, start gluing them each up before you put them together, just so that way you can do them in a line and have them all done really fast. If you'd work on them individually, I feel like it's not as efficient. So if you do every step for each one at the same time, you'll finish a lot faster. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get back to the tutorial. With me, when I make rosettes, I like when I have a mountain fold and a valley fold, because when I adhere these together, I like to place it inwards like this. So when I put my hot glue, I'm going to put it on this piece right here. If it'll focus. So on this end right here, and I'm going to place the other end right on top. So I'm going to use my hot glue gun to do that. Just going to put a little bit. And just place this down. Don't burn yourself. My fingertips are literally like, there's no feeling in them at all. So it doesn't matter to me. But yeah. So now you're stuck with this circular piece. And at this point, when you're making the larger ones, you usually can push the center, push all of these towards the center. But because this is tiny, I like to use my fingers, and you can easily just form it in your hand like this. It's better to do it this way in your hand than having to try to squish it against your table. Because once you get it formed like this in your hand, and you kind of push it against the table, it stays that way, and it's easier to maneuver it. You see what I'm saying? They're so tiny I can't even zoom in that much. Okay, so that's one of them. And then this is how it's gonna look at the end, because we're almost there. Super tiny, and then you can add little flag shapes at the bottom. I usually just take a 1/4 inch strip, and then just depending on how long you want them. So what I do, if you have a glass mat or a silicone mat, anything that like won't melt when you use your hot glue gun, I highly suggest using it. I have this one from Momenta. I bought this a while ago at Tuesday Morning. I use it to when I make rosettes, because it's perfect for hot glue. It doesn't stick. So what I like to do, if you have this mat, I put like a dot of glue there just perfectly, because these are tiny. If you want to punch out a small circle, you can. I don't have my small circle punch though. And what you do is you lay this right on top of there and you push down on it, because again, remember, it's a lot easier to fold. And then what you do is just hold it in place, and I like to hold down the center with my finger and kind of play with it a little bit. And then it just, again, it doesn't even stick because it's silicone, and it just adheres the rosette. And if you have a glass mat, same thing. You can just put it on your glass mat. If you don't have any of those, I'll show you what you can do. So let's just say I didn't have this, did not exist. And again, I'm just gonna crease this. A little bit of glue. With these tiny ones, you can use your liquid glue. I use hot glue for everything. But I didn't bring a lot of glue sticks, hot glue sticks. My mom does have a lot, some, but I definitely should be using my liquid glue. So again, you have this shape, and then you're just going to use your fingers to kind of build its shape like this. And you're just going to play with it on your table just so it gets its shape. And then what I do is I take half of the rosette and I put hot glue just a little bit around the edge here. Again, you want to be careful though, don't burn yourself. Just put a little bit, and then I close it and squeeze and put it together. Like this. And just hold it in place. And once the hot glue cools down, you can touch it a little bit and like play with it to hold it in place. And then same thing, if you don't want to do it that way, if you have like a little circle punch, like literally probably a 1/4 inch circle, that's like the hole punch for school. If you put like that little circle on your desk, put a thing of hot glue on there, you would do the same thing like as if you were to have a mat, except you'd have a die cut, and that's where you're going to place your rosette. Alright, so these are how they look, and I'm going to show you close-ups. Super tiny and super cute. Here's another one. And they're super easy to make. If you want to make a bunch of them at once so you can have them, the best way to do it is to do it this way. You can even have like a 12-inch strip, a 3-inch by 12-inch strip of paper, score your 1/8 of an inch marks, cut them all at a 1/4, and you'll have a bunch of them. So that way you don't have to worry about if they're going to be even or not when you cut it at 3 inches. Because mine did have an extra one at the end. So it really just depends, but that's how I make them. And again, you can decorate them however you'd like. They are pretty tiny, so I usually just put like a little sequin in there, and then I have a diamond drill in there, and then some banner tails or fish tails. Alright, so I hope you guys found that tutorial helpful for especially those that asked for a tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them down below. It's hard for me to get to the comments section, but I try to answer the ones that really need to be answered. But yeah, so I hope you guys have a great day. Hope this tutorial helped you, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!